Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good day out there. Today, we are going to talk about some reasons why I think that the Case Trapper is such a classic knife. These are particular things why I think the Case Trapper has become such a classic knife. As we know, in the world of traditional slip joints, there are a lot of different styles of knives. Single blades, double blades, three-bladed knives, four-bladed knives, five-bladed knives, and on we can go. We got long knives, we got short knives, we got skinny knives, we got fat knives, we got lock knives, we've got all kinds of different knives. And we got half stops. We got all kinds of different stuff to look at. But there are certain knife designs that seem to win out, ones that seem to outdo the others. And the Trapper, any list that's made out of traditional knives that have ran for a long time, that have been popular for a long time, that have held their ground in popularity, the Trapper has to be on that list. Specifically, I'm talking about the Case Trapper. In my opinion, Case makes the best Trapper, and it's really the only knife that's fit to have a knife called the Trapper. And the reason I say that is just because their particular design of the Trapper has become so iconic that it is just, for me, it's the basis for any Trapper of any sort. But in this video, I'm going to name a few reasons why I think it's such a popular knife, why I think it's had such an enduring legacy, and why I think you should carry one. Comment down below on what you like about the Trapper, if you think of anything that I don't say. And also, on top of that, anything you don't like about the Trapper, you can comment. Of course, the most hated part of the Trapper is going to be the spade blade. Nevertheless, why should I carry a Trapper? Why has it had such a good, enduring legacy? Well, I think there's a few reasons. The first one is that it's a slim knife. It's a two-bladed knife, but it is not very thick when it comes to two-bladed knives. This yellow one, is under half an inch wide. The thickest one I have, I believe, is this Rogers Bluebone, and it's still just a speck under half an inch wide. So they're not a very thick knife. So when you're carrying them in your pocket, they are not going to make your pants real tight. You know, they're not going to take up too much room and make too much of a bulge in your pocket, which can be uncomfortable, especially if you have other things in your pocket, like a phone or keys or whatever it might be. In the same way, if you're going to be carrying one of these with a slip, the slimness is going to make the use of the slip a lot more comfortable and a lot more sensible. So that's one thing. The Trapper is a nice, reasonably slim knife for what it is. You can see there's really no wasted space on a Case Trapper. And that's true with any of them, whether they're a bone handle or whether they're a smooth handle in Delrin or whatever it might be. The ones, of course, with the jigged material are going to be a little thicker than the smooth ones. The next thing is it's a great shape for pocket carry. Not only is it thin, but it's a good shape for pocket carry. You know, this is not going to rub a hole in your pocket. This is nice and smooth. The whole back's nice and smooth. The whole side's nice and smooth, both sides. And even the squared off bolster is still smooth. The top of the blades there aren't going to catch in your pocket or rub a hole in your pocket or print too much in your jeans. It's a good carrying knife. It fits the pocket well. It has a good design to it. We can't say that for every knife. There are certain knives that kind of print, that kind of stick in the pocket. The Trapper is not one of those. The Trapper fits the pocket very well. And as we all know, if a knife is comfortable in the pocket, there's a greater chance that we're going to carry it. I believe that's another reason, the second reason why these Trappers have endured for such a long time. The next one is that it feels great to hold. You know, if you're going to be actually using a knife, going to be doing some kind of task with that knife, it's important that that knife be comfortable in the hand. And the Trapper, being a larger kind of knife, I'm going to raise the camera up here. The Trapper, being a larger kind of knife, is going to be used for harder tasks generally. And because of that, you need a comfortable handle. And if you look at that handle is smooth in every direction. There is nothing to cut you. There's nothing to create a hot spot. Look how smooth that spine is. That knife fits your hand perfect. You get a good grip on it. And so this knife feels great to hold. But a step beyond that, not only does it feel good to hold in this position, when you're, say, cutting through a cardboard or something like that, or cutting through a stick or something, if you're whittling it down, not only is it comfortable in that position, it's also comfortable in the position like this. If you're slicing an onion or slicing a potato or whatever it might be, you can hold it in your hand and slice, and it's comfortable. It lays in your hand well. In any position that you can put the trapper in, it is going to be comfortable. And that is one of the things that I think has caused the trapper to be popular for so many years. It is a comfortable knife to carry. Any position you put this knife in, it is going to be comfortable. The next thing that kind of goes along with this one is the blade orientation. You got two blades in a traditional trapper, like these I'm showing here on the table. You have a main clip blade. Now your secondary blade here on these that I'm showing, except for this one, is going to be a spade blade. Now this is the important thing to note about that spade blade. See how flat it is on the top. That means that when you squeeze this knife, it's not going to cut into your fingers. You're not going to feel a hot spot because of that spade blade. It almost disappears when you hold it. You cannot hardly feel it there at all. Sadly, that cannot be said for all knife patterns. There's many knife patterns that I like, but they nevertheless have a hot spot, and one of my favorites being the 18 pattern Stockman. See this sheep's foot blade sticking up? When you squeeze that, you feel that blade cutting into your knuckles there. That's not bad, but it is something to note. You are not going to have that happening with your trapper. The trapper is a comfortable knife to hold in the hand, and it fits the hand very well no matter the position you're holding the knife in. The next thing is that the blades complement each other. Now, I know not everybody agrees with me here. Some people really just do not like the spade blade, and I understand that. If you don't like the spade blade, you can get a single-bladed trapper, or you can get one of these Wharncliffe trappers that Case makes. They generally call these a modified trapper. But this is a Wharncliffe blade, and this right here is the traditional spade blade. So you can see the difference in the blade shape right there. The spade blade is going to give you more blade, but the only downfall of the spade blade is it doesn't have as sharp of a tip. Nevertheless, if you don't like the spade blade, you can go with a single-bladed trapper, or you can get one of these Wharncliffe trappers. But I'm going to be talking mainly in this video about the spade blade because I like that blade. I think it's a good, useful blade. Nevertheless, the blades on a traditional trapper, that being the spade blade and the clip point blade, they complement each other. Now I'll illustrate what I mean. If you look at the clip point blade, you'll notice it's a pretty wide blade. Well, in the same way that it's a wider blade, the spade blade is a little thinner. The spade blade is not as wide from edge to spine as the clip point blade is. So they complement each other. You've got a wider blade, you got a narrower blade. Let's go up a step longer than that, a step more. If you look on the back of the clip point blade, it's thicker and it keeps getting narrower as it angles down. And also, your edge is going to slowly angle down. It has a slight cant to it. Well, when you look at the blade here on the spade blade, if you notice, it goes completely straight out. And it does not get narrower until you get to the very tip. So it's got a thicker blade. It's got more blade stock behind it. That is to say that this blade, your clip point, is going to be slicier. Whereas this blade is going to be a little sturdier and a little tougher. It's filling a different role. If you need to pierce through a package or you need a really sharp tip, you've got a razor sharp tip on the clip point like this trapper has. And you can pierce whatever you need easily with that blade. But on the other hand, if you're wanting to slice or to cut without piercing as much, you got your spade blade. The tip is still there. It will still pierce through paper or whatever you need it to pierce through. Nevertheless, it's not quite as sharp, so it's going to be easier to not accidentally damage something. It's a good blade, and they complement each other. Another way that I would think these two blades complement each other would be that this one blade might be better for like slicing tape and everyday tasks, and you could use the spade blade for like food tasks. It's good at spreading peanut butter and stuff like that because of its wide shape all the way down. Its even shape makes it a good peanut butter spreader and stuff. Nevertheless, these two blades aren't trying to do the same thing. And too many times we'll find a knife where all the blades just don't seem to be helping each other out much. That's not true on the Trapper. These blades are different and they have different tasks. Oftentimes I will leave a harsher edge on my spade blade, and I will put a sharper edge, a thinner edge, on my clip point, and that way I get a nice contrast between the two. And the other thing we need to notice is that the blades are large enough. They are large enough. If you measure the blade, I'm going to go by the clip points measurement. That blade comes right in at 3 inches of sharpened edge. That's a lot of blade, and that's enough blade for really anything you're going to need to do. Your handle on your Trapper is going to be around 4 1/8 inches. But nevertheless, your blades are big enough. You're not going to need a blade and not have enough edge. You have plenty of edge for any task that you might come across. And that is true of the spade blade and the clip blade. They have about the same length edge. Another thing we'll say is weight. The Trapper, it comes in anywhere from around 3.6 ounces to 4 ounces, depending on the handle material and the blades you get in it. That's not too heavy for what it is. Just to put it into perspective, you can take one of these beautiful Buck 112s. This is a great knife. But when you compare it to the Trapper, this buck doesn't have as much cutting edge, as you can see. The handle doesn't have as much room to get a good grip on it. It's a whole lot fatter and is a whole lot heavier. Now, of course, this buck, you can see it has a back lock on it, and these knives are not comparable. This is a single blade with a lock back intended for a different purpose. Nevertheless, with the Trapper, you are getting a lighter knife, a slimmer knife, a knife with a bigger handle to hold, a smaller handle to carry, and you're getting more blade. Well, getting a whole lot more blade if you count the fact that you're getting 2 blades. So these knives coming in between 3.6 ounces and 3 and 4 ounces, they are in the right weight range. The last thing I want to say about these knives is there's other knives that are really good, like the Case Copperlock. This is the full-size Copperlock. Anyways, this is a good knife, but it doesn't beat the Trapper, in my opinion. You might like it more, and that's fine, but it really doesn't outdo the Trapper. I'll illustrate what I mean by that. If we look at the blades, get them, the edges lined up, you'll see the Trapper has a bigger blade. It's longer, got more edge. If we look at the handles, you'll see there that the Copperlock has a bigger handle. And also you'll notice on the Trapper, I've got lots of room to hold the knife further toward the bottom or further toward the tang. Well, that's simply not true with the Copperlock. Because of this design, which is I like, it's a neat design, I simply can't get as much room on the grip for a bigger knife. And again, I like the Copperlock. It's a good knife, but it has never unseated the Trapper. And I think that right there is one reason why. And we can look at all the variants of the Trapper. There's been a lot of variants over the years. You know, we got the Mini Trapper, which is a great knife. Again, I really like the Mini Trapper, one of my favorite knives. But it hasn't undone the Trapper's position. It complements it, but it hasn't undone it. We can take the Slimline Trapper. Again, a great knife I really like. But again, it hasn't outdone the Trapper. The Trapper is still the boss. We can even take a really cool knife like a Trapper Lock. But this Trapper Lock, to put it bluntly, isn't any better than a regular Trapper. It's a single blade and it's got a lock and a thumb stud, But if you notice, you don't get as much edge. The handles are going to be the same size, but nevertheless, you're not getting as much cutting edge. Plus, your blade is going to be, I believe that's a saber grind on it. So the blade is a lot thicker. It will not slice as well. And the blade is also not as wide from edge to spine. So you're not going to have as much usable blade. All these things being said, plus a bunch more, are the reasons why I believe that the Trapper is one of the best traditional knives ever made, and why I think it holds its place. You know, if anybody out there doesn't like the spade blade, you can get a single bladed Trapper, or you can get one of these Wharncliffe Trappers, like this one right here, and it'll be a good knife for you. The only thing I think that keeps the Trapper from being absolutely perfect, in my own opinion, is that it doesn't have a small sheep's foot blade. The small sheep's foot blade, like you're going to find on a Stockman, to me is a very useful blade and one of my favorite blades. And I understand why the Trapper does not have this particular blade, but if this Trapper somehow had this particular blade on it, that would be really cool, and that would make the knife perfect. But who knows how that would mess with the knife in other ways. Nevertheless, I like the spade blade. I like the clip point blade. They complement each other. And the Trapper is just a really good knife overall. So comment down below. What do you like about the Trapper? What do you not like about the Trapper? And if you have anything to add to what I've said, comment down below. Y'all have a good day and keep your knives sharp.